animals near and far, with horizon line.
It's time to learn.
Horizon line. Line where land meets the sky. Let's take the time to pretend these 3 ants are all crawling on the ground. A way that you can help show people that they're on the ground is to draw the horizon line. That is a line going behind the ants and above them, and that line is where the land is meeting the sky. Let's practice a horizon line together with a drawing activity. For the beginner's lesson, I'm going to begin this drawing by starting with my big ant on the bottom of the picture. Hopefully by now, you're starting to see that when you draw something big and on the bottom of your picture, it looks like it's closer to you. Once I'm finished adding all of the details to my big ant on the bottom of my picture, I'm going to do something a little different this time. Once I'm done, I'm going to draw a horizon line going above my ant, and I'm going to give it a tiny anthill for it to live in. Everything below that horizon line is the ground, and everything above is the sky.
It's time to learn.
For the second part of the beginner's lesson, I'm going to draw 2 more ants, one medium-sized ant, a little smaller and above my first ant, and then I'm going to draw one small ant above my medium-sized ant. This drawing, practice making your ants all below the horizon line. Everything below this horizon line will be the ground. Everything above this horizon line is the sky. As a bonus for my beginner friends, if you want to add some clouds in the sky above the horizon line, you can. It's a good way to practice overlapping. You can make one cloud. You can use that one cloud to draw other clouds around it and a sun behind them.
It's time to learn.
For the intermediate lesson, I am going to draw a medium-sized ant above the horizon line I just drew. The reason I'm drawing it above this horizon line is because I want this ant to look like it's further away and standing on a different part of the ground. Once my ant is finished, I'm going to draw a second horizon line with an anthill going above my medium-sized ant. Doesn't it kind of look like that medium ant is further away? We just used a second horizon line to make a middle ground. Those horizon lines are some nifty business. After I get done with my second horizon line, I draw a smaller ant above it. I'm drawing this ant even smaller so it looks even further away. Then I will add the horizon line behind the ant to make it look like it's even further away. That's my background, and above that line will be my sky. The biggest ant that closest to me is in the foreground. The middle ant is the medium-sized ant, and that's the middle ground, and then the little one in the back is in the background. And look, the anthills are overlapping the horizon lines too. How about that?
It's time to learn.
Now that I've completed my horizon line and decided where the ground and the sky will go, I'm going to add some clouds in the sky. I'm going to make my clouds overlap one another to practice with overlapping. Besides, when you look at clouds out in the sky, they're overlapping each other all over the place. Then I'll put in one of my very favorite stars, our sun. I think my ants would enjoy it better if it was a sunny day. It makes it more easy to build their anthills with extra nice weather out there.
It's time to learn.
Now it's time for Mr. B's challenge. I skip it R.
Now it's time to push this drawing a little bit further. I'm going to do that by adding a few extra clouds behind the sun. I wonder what kind of beautiful shadows those clouds would cast on the grounds. Then I will begin to shade underneath each one of my horizon lines. I was always trained to begin from the horizon line that is furthest away, way off in the background. That's like the true horizon line, where the land meets the sky. When I'm shading, I'm always keeping an eye on the horizon lines or the lines that I'm shading. I'm watching closely how adding that extra value of darkness separates the land and the sky, or the grounds that I am trying to have one come closer and one go further away. In adding a little bit of shading underneath my horizon line, that makes the ground in the background come closer and the sky in the background go further away. If you're looking carefully, you would notice that the top is darker by my horizon line, but as it goes down in the background, like where I am, it gets a little bit lighter. When you shade from dark to light this way, it will give you extra room to make space. This is done by shading the middle ground's horizon line. I'm going to do the same thing here, except for it's going to be darker on top. Only thing about the middle ground is the top of it is actually in the center of your drawing. The top is darker, and then I gradually shade it down to a lighter value. I'm going to use my horizon line as my guide. I'm going to start and make that line on the bottom part of that line as dark as it's going to be in the middle ground. That way it will make the ground come closer than the background. I'm going to make this anthill in the middle kind of darker. It'll make it come closer than the background. It'll make more space. So when you look at this one, it'll look closer, and the anthill in the background further away. It'll make the one in the background look like it's super tall. I'm just going to finish shading the middle ground, and while I am, I'd just like to say thank you for watching this so far. Making it this far in the video means that you're interested in drawing grounds. I hope you do practice this because it will help you get better at making art. Also, did I mention that it's super duper fun? Well, if you haven't guessed it by now, it's time to start shading the foreground. I'm going to make my foreground the darkest edge because it's the closest to me and I want it to look like it's near. This is especially true for my anthill because it's crossing that middle horizon line. Look it, if I didn't make it super dark, it would blend together with that other line and it would make it hard to see the space in this drawing. But because I'm making it darker, it's adding something called contrast. Contrast means putting a dark next to a light to make space. When you add contrast to one side of a line like this, it'll really make something come forward and something else go backwards. Getting good at this idea will really help when you draw to make things pop out at you and make it exciting to look at your drawing. After you practice these skills a few times, you stop thinking about them so much. It's kind of like riding a bicycle or something. You just stop thinking about it, you internalize it, and then you just get to go for a ride. It's really, really fun. Especially if you get to the part of drawing where you just like start to kind of dream and let your drawing kind of drift around and you get to just add things as it goes. It's very relaxing. It's also very helpful because you are using different parts of your brain. And so if you're feeling sad or you're feeling anxiety over something, drawing will help you kind of redirect that energy in a positive way to make something beautiful. There I have my grounds. The background is lightest, and then it gets light, medium light to dark. The dark always comes closer when you do it this way. So I've got a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. And I kind of like this drawing so far, but I think my ants need a little help because I didn't shade them in yet. So I'm gonna make them like a darker ant, like the black ants that are kind of bigger. I think they call them carpenter ants. I'm gonna put those on the ground. Carpenter ants are really, really cool because you can watch them in the forest. They're always walking around on trees and logs and things. Carpenter ants have a really big job in this world. Their job is to break down wood and make it into soil for plants and everything to help it grow. I sure hope the next time you see an ant, you stop and say hello to it, see what kind of color it is, how big it is, where its house is. Get to learn about its environment and about how it acts and behaves and talks to other ants. Who knows? Looking at ants and things could inspire you to make beautiful pictures or drawings or stories. I sure know they've inspired me over the years. All those ants, I tell ya. Now I'm just gonna finish it up by putting some value on my ants in the middle and the background. I wonder what a drawing like this would look like if I added mini ants in the foreground, mini ants in the middle ground, and a bunches and bunches in the background too. Yupperdoodle. I'm gonna finish this drawing up by just putting some value in the clouds, the ones that are behind the one in front, so then it looks like there is more space in my drawing. And just for fun and just to kind of help make this a kind of an exciting drawing, I'm going to add some rays to the sun going in my sky. This kind of drawing would be fun to color because then you could color it in all kinds of different ways if you had that. But shading it, you can really get to see the grounds. If you think back to our basic shapes animals, we've come a long way with our drawings. If you've been following along, you're making things look like they're very far away and very, very close. Learning how to draw space is one of the best things I could teach you, and I hope that you had some fun making some ants and other things with me. Wonder what your challenge drawings will look like. They're each going to be so different and so absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to see them. Your drawings are so gonna look so good, I'll have to wear my 3D glasses to see them. They're gonna be so dimensional.
It's time to learn.
Well, I hope those aren'ts on those aren't hills was too much trouble for you. They have a mind of their own, those aren'ts on those aren't hills, I tell ya. Arr, skippity arr. Take care of each other for me.